In Auburndale, a place exists to provide compassionate grief support to children and families who have lost a loved one in Polk County. Coming up on Polk Place, we will hear about the Bethany Center for Grieving Children, their work within our community, and how you can help. Make sure you stick around. Welcome to Polk Place. I'm Brian Lacey, and joining me in studio is Paula Kramer. She's the Director of Philanthropy, Chapters Health Foundation, in support of Good Shepherd Hospice. How you doing, girl?
I'm doing great. Long time no see.
Yeah, you know, what's funny is I see you on that side of the camera, but we got like an 8-9 year relationship.
Yeah,
First time ever sitting in a chair.
Yeah.
Well, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I want to talk to you a little bit about the Bethany Center. Tell me a little bit about how it started and how it became.
Sure. Bethany Center started back in 1991. Bethany Ann Traviesa was dying of cancer and had several small children, and she made her best friends promise her that they would facilitate an opportunity for the kids to be able to grieve the loss of their mom properly, be able to be with other kids and other people that experienced the similar loss. So they started it actually in garages, and shortly after that they moved the facility to Lakeland Regional. Then it was Lakeland General Hospital, I believe. I don't know if it was Lakeland Regional then or not, but they of course jumped on board to provide services to the kids through that facility. So it's been around now for 30 years.
And currently, it resides in Auburndale?
Yes, we have a location in Auburndale, but we also have one in Sebring. It's called the Sunroom.
Okay.
So 2001, Good Shepherd and Lakeland Regional got together and talked about moving it to Good Shepherd, and so now it's with us in those two locations.
I was going to say, talk to me a little bit about the role that Good Shepherd Hospice and Chapters Health plays in all of this.
So Good Shepherd came along to the process, like I said, in 2001, because Lakeland Regional didn't have the capacity of the social workers and the counselors needed. They were a very small group. They're trying to service the number of children in this area. And so Good Shepherd got involved, and we opened up a location on Lake Morton. And we quickly outgrew the little house that was there on Lake Morton. And so that's how the Lakeland location actually wound up in Auburndale. So it moved there because we had some extra space.
What does the future hold for the Bethany Center, and what can folks look for when it becomes online?
So Auburndale serves the east side of the county, and when the Bethany Center moved to that location, the participation of the Lakeland families dropped considerably because many of our contacts, have several kids. They have work situations, and so transportation and trying to get over to Auburndale was tough. So since then, our numbers on the east side of the county have grown, but we still have a strong need on the west side of the county in Lakeland and so forth. And so it's time to bring the Bethany Center back to Lakeland. We're still going to operate in Auburndale and Sebring, but we're going to have a new state-of-the-art facility at the Good Shepherd, the Lakeland Hospice House on Lakeland Hills Boulevard, and we are so excited.
Talk about some of the amenities that folks can expect to see.
Well, part of our Auburndale and our Sunroom in Sebring, they have the grief cave. We're definitely going to have our grief cave. It's one of our staple items. Children can go into the grief cave. It has black lights in the room, and they use markers, glow-in-the-dark markers, to write messages to their loved ones in the grief cave. But even more than that, we're going to have the first ever hurricane room, and it's a room that has a punching bag, and it has a board on the wall that you can throw these soft light Nerf balls to it, and it makes a splat sound. So they have an opportunity to express their frustration and their grief and their anxiety and anything they may be experiencing through activities in that room. And everybody responds to grief differently, and especially some of the older kids like the teenagers and so forth. There's going to be a game room with an interactive gaming floor, but besides in the gaming room, the interactive floor, there's also going to be a dry erase board for them to write messages up on the walls in that room as well. we're also going to have a playroom that's more geared towards the children, the smaller children. And this is my favorite piece, is the interactive sandbox. So it's a sandbox, a real sandbox, and then a projector projects an image down on it like an ocean floor. And when the kids move the sand through on the box, it changes the landscape of the ocean floor. It's the coolest thing. A lot of these things that I've mentioned have naming opportunities, and so that's kind of part of why I'm here, is to help get this funding off the ground. You know, we started this fundraising effort in the fall of 19, but as everybody knows, last year, about March, the whole world shut down, and so it put a big hindrance on trying to get things launched in 2020. So we just stayed quiet in 2020 and focused on the things that were really, really important. Still providing grief services via Zoom and FaceTime and phone calls but of course we couldn't do our face-to-face and our group support counseling, grief services counseling. But we didn't let that deter us. So
how can folks get involved? How can they help you?
So they can reach out to me via the phone numbers that I'm sure you'll provide for us at the end, but also our website. But if they're interested in grief services, one thing I want everybody to know, that our services are open to the community, free to everyone that has experienced a loss. So if someone has experienced loss, and it doesn't just have to be children, the Bethany Center is about the kids, but we provide grief services to everyone, and it doesn't have to be a hospice loss, and that's a very important fact that I want people to take away.
Obviously, you've got a good start going into the program. Talk to me a little bit about who's made a difference on this project.
Yeah, absolutely. So we started, like I said, back in fall of 2019, and we had a lot of organizations come up and agree to help us. Wegman is helping us with the architectural side of the project. Watson Clinic Foundation has supported one of the rooms. Iron Horse Family Foundation, and there's several of our Hospice Women of Giving members have sponsored some of the key elements in the facility. So we want to thank each and every one of them for stepping up to the plate right off the bat.
As an adult, a lot of adults can suppress that hurt, that anger. But with a little bit of time that we've got left, state the obvious. Talk about why there's a need for a facility like this on every end of the county and of course down south.
Yeah, it's a pretty important aspect to the healing related to losing someone that you're close to. Children don't always know how to express those feelings, so the Bethany Center gives them a lot of unique ways to do that. But just like the children, teens and adults struggle with expressing how they feel about a situation, and communication is key to the healing process. So we just encourage anyone, if they need help with, and they just want somebody to talk to, we encourage them to reach out. But more so, if they feel compelled to help and support this campaign, we ask them to reach out and do that, because the more space we have, the more opportunity there is to help a few more kids. And they're most of the time considered the forgotten mourner, because they don't usually speak up when they need something.
Paula, I want to thank you for coming in today, talking a little bit about the project, but most of all, thank you for what you guys do within the community. Come back and see me again, will you?
Absolutely.
Good Shepherd Hospice is in the middle of a capital campaign to raise money for the expansion of the Bethany Center for grieving children. The foundation's goal is to raise $55,000. The new and improved center would reside in Good Shepherd's Lakeland Resource Center. Good Shepherd Hospice hopes to begin construction by the end of 2021. If you need more information, you can look them up on the web at www.bethanycenterflorida.org or give them a call at 863-559-2944.